Hello viewers and welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I'm your host for today, Joy Aja. Every day, people make decisions that affect not only themselves but others. Oftentimes, they choose options that may benefit only themselves, leading to crimes such as corruption, fraud, kidnapping, banditry, terrorism, and so on. The combination of these crimes is contributing to high level of insecurity and instability in the polity. This leads to a morally bankrupt society. Corruption and other illegal behaviors negate values such as equity, justice, honesty, fairness, hard work, integrity, and so on. This is the reason ICPC and other well-meaning individuals and organizations are clamoring for values reorientation to save Nigeria from the massive spread of corrupt practices in the country. In the light of this, ICPC worked with the National Orientation Agency and came up with the National Ethics and Integrity Policy in 2020 to save the country from an erosion of ethics and the collapse of our ethical culture and values. The policy, which has been approved by the Federal Executive Council, has 7 core values that are crucial and critical to the restoration and the strengthening of good and ethical behavior in the society. Today on the program, we shall be looking at 2 of the 7 core values, namely patriotism and professionalism. Before then, let us join Ruth Awodi as she brings us updates on happenings around the Commission. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you, Joy. Welcome to this segment on Anti-Corruption Stories. I am Ruth Awodi. ICPC has stated that it remains steadfast in its mission to collaborate with government bodies, educational institutions, and civil society organizations to instill values of honesty, diligence, and accountability in the hearts and minds of the next generation. This statement was made by the resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, ICPC Ondo State Office, Mr. Kayode Kupolati, during a career talk organized for students by the Ondo State government through its Ministry of Education, Science and Technology recently, during which ICPC spoke on the importance of integrity. Mr. Kupolati, who was represented by a Principal Superintendent of the Commission, Mr. Jenmi Ganiu Uwolabi, stressed that ICPC is dedicated to empowering youths and promoting honesty and hard work, and encourage the students to aim high while staying true to ethical values, as integrity was important in both personal and professional life. The engaging career talk not only equipped the students with invaluable insights into various career trajectories, but also taught the essential values of integrity and accountability. In another development, ICPC will partner with the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution (IPCR) in the execution of programs and initiatives that promote anti-corruption, peace, and security matters in Nigeria. ICPC, in a statement made through its representative, Mr. Hassan Saliu, at a meeting recently organized by the IPCR Abuja, stated that its newly appointed chairman, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, SAN, is a strong proponent of strategic partnership approach in fighting corruption. In his opening remarks at the engagement meeting, the Director General of IPCR, Dr. Joseph Ochogu, stated that the purpose of the meeting was to inform its stakeholders of the activities of the Institute and its training programs. Stakeholders at the meeting made useful comments and with exhaustive conversations around collaborations, partnerships, and how the IPCR could support various government agencies' statutory functions through the inclusion of peace components. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Joy.
Welcome back. ICPC desires to see a nation where the citizens have genuine love for the country, and the willingness to defend it anytime and anywhere is paramount to the Commission. The ethos of nationalism by all Nigerians is a prerequisite for a greater Nigeria, and this can only be achieved by embracing the core values of patriotism and professionalism in the discharge of our daily activities. The core value of patriotism inspires a sense of belonging and nationhood, loyalty, solidarity, national pride, respect, dedication, amongst others, without which there will be intolerance and tribalism among citizens. The second core value we are looking at today is professionalism, and it seeks to achieve commitment to excellence in service by professionals in all fields of endeavor. Professionals are expected by this value to adhere to established standards and regulations related to their professions. Mrs. Rashidat Okodua MNI, a former director and former spokesperson for ICPC, tells us more.
ICPC has a three-pronged mandate, as is well known. One of those mandates is education on and against corruption, and then to enlist and foster public support in combating corruption. Now, when you are educating on and against corruption, it means that you're telling people about what is bad, what they should not do that is bad. You're telling them, you're educating them on it in terms of what is bad, its consequences. Then you are educating them against it. They should not do it. If you are telling them not to do something bad, you are actually going to replace don't do something bad with what you should be doing. So that's how the NAIP came about, that we needed to present to the Nigerian public an alternative way of doing things. So the NAIP was actually came about as an initiative in order to strengthen government's efforts at national transformation. So professionalism, patriotism are all supposed to help us, are supposed to reorientate our minds. That's the whole purpose of the policy, to reorientate our minds, our attitudes, our behaviors, towards doing what is ethical and what is honorable. So how do you apply patriotism? Patriotism across all levels. Let's look at something like just compliance with respect for law and constituted authority. That's at a level of patriotism. If you're someone who is given to complying with laws, a policeman stops you, you stop. You do whatever he tells you to do. Well, let's pray that they are the real policemen. and that you don't you don't commit offense, you comply with rules and regulations, and you respect constituted authority. That's a level of patriotism. Then there's civic responsibility. That's another application of patriotism, whereby you do what is required of you as a citizen. You pay your taxes, you pay your charges and levies. Patriotism would mean that you have respect for our national symbols, our flag, our anthem, the things that our nation stands for. It will mean that every official premises would have the national flag flying, private and public. Professionalism means that it simply means, what comes to your mind when you say somebody's a professional? What comes to your mind is that you expect high standards of this person because you believe he has been well trained in his job. So embedded in the idea of professionalism is service. Embedded in it is striving for excellence. Embedded in it is dependability. So how do you apply professionalism? Most of our, if not all of them, but most of our reputable professional bodies and associations have codes of professional conduct. All ICPC is saying, all Nigeria is saying is that they should apply this code. They should uphold the tenets of their code. Accountability, integrity is important to professionalism. Service, dependability, reliability, excellence. Nigerians must not be apathetic. They must not be unconcerned about governance. We have a responsibility to ask our leaders how they are running our country. When people together, collective action, you can hold anybody to account. But we Nigerians, we don't do that. Let them do it. We have to change our attitude to governance. That's the only way this country can be better. And government can't turn it around for us. Government can't do it alone. So we must do it. Government too must do it. And I would like to appeal to government. We're asking people to be patriotic. We're asking people to imbibe all these values. But also our leaders must also be role models of these values. There are no two ways about it. They also have to show that they are patriotic by the way they are running our country. You cannot be patriotic if you are corrupt and stealing the country blind. That's not patriotism. Not on the part of our leaders, not on the part of anybody. So we all have a role to play in making this country better and stronger. We have a duty to improve our country. Those countries we're running to, someday they will close their doors against us. We have to make Nigeria work.
You are still watching Corruption Must Go. Societies are consciously or unconsciously branded by the behavior of their citizens. Therefore, if as Nigerians we desire a different nomenclature than what we are currently having, both locally and internationally, we will have to do something different about it, first as individuals and then as a nation. As the adage says, we cannot be doing the same thing and expect a different result. Speaking to us on what ICPC is doing in the area of values reorientation, we have with us Mr. Ademola Bakare, FSI, Head of Public Enlightenment and Education Department of the Commission.
We have done a lot since inception in the year 2000. I can recollect vividly that the very first shot at doing something about value reorientation was the development of what we call the national value curriculum. I mean, that was developed in conjunction with the Nigeria Education Research and Development Board, NERDC Council. So, since that time, the curriculum that was developed has been infused into key, subjects for the primary, the junior secondary and senior secondary, up to teachers' education level. That has been infused, and teachers were actually even trained to be able to teach those values that has been infused in the curriculum. The second thing that we have done is the development of the National Ethics and Integrity Policy since year 2020. It was adopted by the Federal Executive Council. It has been printed, it has been published, the implementation has started, and the implementation cut across the various segments of the society, the public service, the religion, sector, traditional institution, the educational institution. It's like a remodeled national value curriculum now at the grassroots level, not just the school, not for children. So it's targeted at the youth, women, traders, market women, and every segment of the society has part of the national ethics and integrity policy targeted at them, so that it will be coalition of all that, giving us what we want to change our nation. That is what we have done with the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. And something that is similar to that, you recall my constituency, my project is part of changing the orientation of people, so that people will be able to take care of the national monuments, national projects, public, properties and things like that. You will not regard it as their property. You will not regard it as their project. You will own it. You will be able to protect it even from vandalization and things like that. It's about changing the attitude, the behavior, the character. And something similar to that is what we have done. Another initiative is the Behavior Change Initiative. That is taking that involves training of the mindset. It's about changing the mindset of people. It's about changing the attitude and conduct. So the Behavior Change Initiative is being driven by our training arm, the AntiCorruption Academy of Nigeria, and it's targeted at the same segment of the people. While we are using the instrumentality of the law to drive the National Ethics and Integrity Policy, we are using the instrumentality of the training academy, training and development to drive the behavioral change initiative. So that at the end of the day, what you hear in the office will not be too different from what you hear on the street, and it will not be different from what you hear even when you go for training and things like that. So it has been a combination of all this that ICPC has employed to drive the change of value reorientation in Nigeria.
This is still Corruption Must Go. As we know, most professions have codes of ethics to guide their operations. So most times, when we see failures or shortfalls, we know that somebody somewhere is cutting corners and putting many others in danger. This has to be checked. Watch this.
A professional is somebody that has skills that can make a product. And for us, what are the products that we have as town planners? The preparation of plans for physical development of various levels of communities and human agglomerations. Now, when you are licensed to be a town planner, there are rules, code of conduct, and ethics that we have. What are they? One, you must be somebody who runs away from things that tend to be corrupt. Now, what are these? Either extortion, bribery, corruption, and so on and so forth. Those are things that are more or less physical, you can see. Now, as a town planner also, you cannot also, even as somebody in the private practice, there are levels of practice in the private sector. The highest being a consultant. A consultant is someone that has practice experience of not less than 10 years. And if somebody is less than 10 years, or is 2, 3, or 4 years, just because you have your seal and you have access to the stamps for authentication and you are now a consultant, that is illegal practice. You cannot take big jobs because you do not have the capacity to manage it. But even if perhaps, because when it comes to private practice, it's a form of business. You can have a big business. If you don't have capacity to do it, get people who are senior to you to do that. But it's just because, perhaps with all due respect, it is a Nigerian thing. If not, when you know that somebody does not have the requisite experience and capacity, you shouldn't give that person the job. Nigerian environment can be very sane. It can be a place that is so livable. In the years past, many people, foreigners, trooped the country. Today, the reverse is the case. One, economy is not helping matters. Secondly, the environment is not helping. Now, the environment is not organized. Places are not planned. And where a place that is not planned is a jungle. And where there is a jungle, jungle justice operates. And what are the signs of the jungle justice that we are seeing today? Insecurity, jungle justice. People attack you and then they collect your properties day or night, or you can't drive on the road safely, and so on and so forth, because there are so many ungoverned spaces in this country. So planning is an antidote to insecurity in this country. And the earlier the government of Nigeria puts efforts into planning, physical planning, there is no economy that can grow or develop without physical planning, because every economy depends on the land, and the job of the town planner is to organize the land to make sure that it is economical, it is functional, it is aesthetically beautiful, and you have all the services that are available. And of course, all these things are provided in a safe environment. That is the job that the town planner does. And the earlier the government stopped paying lip service to the issue of physical planning in Nigeria, the better for us.
Thank you for staying tuned. There is indeed an urgent call for collective action against corruption. You too can be a real-life hero when you are patriotic and also work in unity with others to shun corruption and report acts of corruption to ICPC. The fight against corruption starts and ends with you and me. That is our package for today. You can still watch all editions of this program on our YouTube channel using the ID ICPC Nigeria. For your complaints, suggestions, and feedbacks, you can call our toll-free number or visit any of our offices closest to you as showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. See you again next week. Bye for now.